No, I'll let Coach is better at the mic, so I'm just here for my looks. Go ahead, Coach.
Obviously we're very, very excited about the event. It creates a great buzz in the city. Ton of people are talking about it. Our players are talking about it. I mean, it's one of the few times, obviously, we go to the arena with a packed crowd where, a win and a loss isn't at the line. So obviously the emphasis is having a great event. I give a lot of credit to our marketing staff and the production staff that puts it on, that are the visionaries behind kind of the entire setup of the deal. Obviously, I'm well aware of the event just because it's been here for a long time. I've always seen it from afar. I think it's been really cool how they've had it at different iconic spots and places around the city of Louisville. I think it's really cool that it's back at the Yum Center, kind of back to our roots a little bit. I think it'll be really good for our guys to feel kind of that game night energy in the arena that we're going to play in. Really thrilled to be doing it alongside Coach Walls, who's become a good friend of mine, a mentor and a confidant. Obviously, he's got a great team, and a real, they're very, very good every year. It'll be great to share the spotlight, share the arena, share the floor with women's basketball.
I ditto. It's perfect. No, it's going to be fun. I mean, I actually had, we're on fall break right now, and we use fall break to send our kids home if they want to go home. But the 4 or 5 that are still here on campus came by my house on Saturday. We watched the football game, and just sitting at the house. My wife was talking to him, asking, how are things going, and we brought up the men's team, and all of them were just so complimentary of the players, the staff, everybody, the excitement in our building. We're all cheering for each other, and it's really exciting to see. So our kids are really looking forward to being a part of this on Friday night with our men's team. It's our whole athletic department at this point in time. It's really neat to see just the camaraderie and the support that we have for each other. You've got Danny, who's just absolutely kicking butt there with our volleyball program. Our volleyball players are amazing. You see them on campus. You see them throughout, the different venues, and they're all so kind. They're so nice. And that's a group who's, one of the best volleyball programs in the country. But the way they act, you'd have no idea. And that's what I appreciate. They're humble, but they're really good. And that's what we've seen throughout this entire athletic department. So we're thrilled to be able to join our men's program on Friday night.
Pat, personally, just for you to be able to go to the Yum Center and finally see what it's like to see a packed crowd in there and feel that energy for the first time, how much have you thought about that, and what's exciting about it?
Well, Jeff mentioned it. I have had the opportunity to be in there several times because of the atmosphere that the volleyball program has created. The crowds there are phenomenal. You can feel the buzz. It feels like game night. So I have felt the buzz of the Yum Center. But yeah, it'll be cool for it to be our event. And every time you go in there and you look around, you see those 22,000 seats. It's awe-inspiring. It's a wow. And obviously the vision is for Rear Ends to be in all those seats to create one of the best atmospheres in college basketball. And when it's right, it is. And it'll be great to feel that energy on Friday.
Jeff, for you, just because you have so many freshmen on this year's team, for them to be able to go out there and see what a Louisville crowd looks like for the first time, what's that going to be like for them?
It's going to be great. I mean, to have the opportunity to get out in front of our crowd and, have it set up in a basketball, a venue is going to be good for our kids. We will have a lot of freshmen that play a lot. So I think this is a great opportunity and just really excited. But as Coach said, I mean, our kids are all going down there for volleyball. So when you get that vibe and that feeling, you see what it's like, it's pretty exciting.
Not to mention the TBT this summer. It just speaks to passion, the craziness of our fan base for anything Louisville. A little bit different from him. We're going to dress one true freshman. We thought about allowing him to dress himself, but we've thought better of it at this point.
Pat, you talked about Jeff being kind of a mentor since you've gotten here. What have you learned from him?
He's lying. He's a politician.
I mean it. I mean it. He's from Northern Kentucky. I'm from Cincinnati, so we're from the same area. My brother-in-law, and my sister all played at Northern Kentucky. He played at Northern Kentucky. His sister was one of the best high school players in the history of the state of Kentucky. My sister played against her way back in the day. Coach and I, we didn't know each other well up until the point that we got here, but obviously his reputation precedes him. Going to practice gym, he's got all those Final Four banners and national championship experiences, so I have the utmost respect for him. But it's been very intentional for both of us to build a great relationship so that the men's and women's program can coexist in a great way, support each other, build each other up. And I mean it. He knows this city like the back of his hand. He's been here a long, long time. I'm sure the first one to raise my hand and say, I don't have all the answers because I'm the new guy here. So he's really steered me in the right direction in a lot of ways, navigating, relationships, the city. He's a great coach. He was overseas coaching the Turkish national team this summer, came back from a FIBA event. I saw him running some kind of really advanced, cool actions as I was watching one of his workouts. It's just an example, and I asked him about it. He has his video coordinator, put it on film, gave me the write-ups. Just a good dude. And I'm not just saying that. Really enjoyed getting to know him and respect the heck out of him.
Pat, have you ever been in a program with one of these events? I mean, people do them all the time. I was trying to think back if you've ever had one, and kind of what the energy does for having the guys. I mean, you mentioned being in the arena, but just the energy of the start of real practice kind of thing.
Well, back in the day when Midnight Madness truly meant Midnight Madness, right? When it was October 15th, when the clock struck midnight, that was a magical moment. Because you didn't have all these hours in the off season where you had 4 hours on the floor with your guys in June and July and August and September and October. It was conditioning, and coaches had to feel like they were doing something, so they would run you into the ground. I mean, it was sprints, it was suicides, it was 17s and 1s. I mean, you felt like a track star. And then when those lights came on and you got the ball for the first time, the practice uniforms on, it truly felt magical when you ran out onto the court. And, college basketball's gotten away from that a little bit. And I like the way it is now, but you have lost that magic a little bit. I think back to when I played at Xavier. I told you I missed 1,000 points by 847. But I remember when I played there, we had that, doors open, run out, and it felt really, really cool. Did some stuff, throughout my head coaching career and things like that, but nothing to the extent of what Louisville Live is. Like I said, it's a big deal in town. It's a big deal because Louisville basketball is a big deal. That's why all these cameras and all you guys are in this room. But you wouldn't be here if this event wasn't a big deal either. People are talking about it. I was watching what was on last night, whatever. I was watching the first quarter of the Bengals game before I had to go to Johnny's games. They took a tough L yesterday, and, Louisville Live commercials come on, and you see Jack Harlow, you see and he's not going to be there tomorrow, so I don't want to promote that he's going to be here. We never know. But it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and I'm really excited about the buzz and the pomp and the circumstance and all that stuff. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, hey Pat, over here. You had, you kind of started by talking about just how excited you can see some of the players getting for this event. Do you see them, those guys who are going to be doing the dunk contest? Have you seen them working on their stuff?
So
do you have any
Jeff,
favorites?
who knows me like the back of his hand, like we've come up with this new thing where he puts a buzzer on me, and as soon as my answer goes over 2 minutes, he just buzzes the crap out of me. So I need to learn to shut up more. That was the longest answer in the history of press conferences a minute ago. No, I don't want to see them out there working on their dunks. It's going to scare the crap out of me while they're doing their dunks, that nobody gets hurt. We got a couple really good dunkers, and I think they'll do some crowd-pleasing stuff, but I'll be going like this just to make sure nobody gets hurt.
Just also wanted to ask about, since you guys have started at practice again, the things that you've seen, obviously you had a ton of room for growth coming off that trip to the Bahamas. We did a lot of good things, but how have you kind of seen them come back from that and like you wanted them to kind of go away for a while and reset. Did you see them come back with that same sort of focus?
Yeah, no, it's been good. Been very, very pleased with how the first, full week of practice, but even before that, we had our 4-hour segment where we were on the floor with them doing preseason workouts, and I've been very, very pleased with the effort, the focus, the intensity, and how we're building.
It's a little off topic, but you probably both saw that the Winnow League quarterback team dispute with NIL money. Given that Congress has no appetite to put guardrails up, what is the climate that you're dealing with? And do you have any thoughts about how to rein in some of the craziness we're seeing?
I'll let you
I guess the only constant or the only known, the only thing that you can fully expect is probably chaos right now. Is change, is your ability to adapt to changing circumstances in our business, and if you're not ready, willing, and able to do that, you're going to get run over. Trying my best not to turn into that old guy that's a get off my lawn, and just accept that that's a little bit how college athletics is at that point, and figure out how you can capitalize, take advantage of it, and be successful in that environment. It's not a great answer for you, but what's going on there in that specific situation that you just mentioned is not a surprise to me. I think that's kind of what we've got accustomed to, is just expecting the unexpected and then figuring out how to adjust and adapt to it.
No, I agree. I think you're going to see a lot as it goes. And when I say a lot, I'm not talking 50 or 60, but I think you're going to see situations where players aren't getting what they were possibly told they were going to get. I mean, that's one of the things we talk about all the time. You're out trying to raise money for a collective, for your NIL, to make sure things like that don't happen. And it's unfortunate, but without the guardrails, without anybody really having any idea of like, okay, how are they going to get paid? It's funny when I hear conversations of you're supposed to get $20,000, and it's like, do you get it all at one check? And I'm like, well, normally you don't. I don't know how you all work, but you don't get paid your year's salary the first day of work, because I don't think you come back for day 2. I mean, I don't know. So I think there's situations that are occurring that it's like, you're going to have to come up with more in-depth contracts and things written out of how the NIL, how the collective pays the student athlete. You can't do pay for play. We all know that. But if you don't show up, what happens? It's not pay for play, but is it pay for showing up, being there? So I think there's a lot of unknowns that are going to have to be figured out. And then as you go through things, I'm waiting to see. It's like, what's going to happen next year, the following year? NIL's I think it's a wonderful concept, and I've said it all along. Name, image, and likeness. The days of, when I was at NKU and you played and you wanted to go home and put on a basketball camp at your high school, and you weren't allowed to do it because you couldn't make any money on the side. Or you find somebody who wants you to go out and, work for them. You weren't able to do any of that. Using your name, image, and likeness, I think, is wonderful. But I think what's happening a lot is it's really collectives just going out and finding money to pay players. Like, are they really using their name, image, and likeness to sell anything? As, someone who's out there, but that's not the way it is right now, which is fine. So we're all making sure, as Coach said, I don't want to be that one that's going, nope, we aren't going to do it. That's not how we do things. So we're trying to figure out different ways to make it work and make sure our student athletes all realize they're in a situation now in a time that I know back in 90, I don't think the lawsuit's going back to 90 to where I'll get money for when I played. But they're now they're fortunate enough to be able to getting money on top of their scholarships, that hopefully they're going to put it away. And I know I talked about it in my press conference, but I'm really hoping these kids realize the opportunity they have in front of them at 18 to 22 years old that I don't think anybody in this room had. I mean, I say it all the time. I mean, my teammates love me at Northern because in the summer, in the spring at study hall at 1 o'clock, if it was raining, I'd bring my lawnmower into study hall. And then our coach get pissed off because it smelled so bad, and he cancel study hall every time. He'd be like, God, get out of here. Because I was on full scholarship, but I'd still cut grass after classes and after workouts to make money, which I was allowed to do then. But, I mean, we were all out working too. But obviously back then it was $10 a yard or $20 a yard. It's not like we were making what they're having the opportunity to do now. So I'm hoping they're seeing this and going, man, I could set myself up for 20, 30 years from now because there is some significant money that's being paid. And I'm hoping that these student athletes are all taking advantage of it.
This question is for both of you guys. How important is holding yourself to a higher standard in your program for the betterment of your program?
Well, I think as leaders, holding yourself not only to the same standard you expect of your players, but a higher standard needs to be a given. I think that's what leaders do. That's what Jeff Walls does. That's what I try to do. That's what Jeff Brom does. That's what Josh Hurd does. That's what Danny does. That's Coach McDonald. I go all the way down the line. So there's no question setting that example, because you can talk the talk, but if you don't walk the walk, you lose the respect of your constituents. You lose the respect of your team and your staff. So obviously very important. The only thing I want to piggyback on what Coach said is, we say never delay gratitude all the time in our program. I want to make sure that every fan hears, every contributor to the 502 Circle, every contributor to our NIL collective, how appreciative we are for the contributions they make. That is the lifeblood of collegiate sports at a high, high level. Coach has been unbelievable about, and he's got with me several occasions about, talking to our guys, talking to his girls about tithing and about giving back and about doing things that impact our community with, some of the money that our players make, encouraging that type of stuff. Obviously, never ever going to make it because we can't, but I just want to know. I want everybody to know how much that's one of the reasons that we are able to be competitive now. We're going to be able to be competitive in the future because our fan base, our passionate fan base, the best fan base in the country gets that. So we've asked people to dig deep, and they've done that, contributed to their means, and we thank you. Please continue. 502 Circle.
Yep, no, everything Coach said. I mean, we have to hold ourselves to a standard. And at the same time, I think where we can have the biggest impact is when there's nobody in here that's perfect. So when there is something that takes place or something goes wrong, or, I say something at practice to a kid that I was wrong on when I go back and watch film, is being able to admit when you're wrong. And I think when you can show that you're vulnerable to your own players and your staff, then you gain a lot more respect. And I think that's one of the most important things, and that's one of the things that we talk to our players and I talk to my staff about is, we don't have all the answers. And there are times in the heat of the moment, I think I know what I saw. But then when I go back and watch film, I'm wrong. And being able to, and not just apologize to that kid, but to be able to apologize for the whole team and say, hey, I was wrong. I saw it wrong. I shouldn't have sat there and said we should switch. We should have stayed with it. That's my fault. When you can do that, then your kids know that you're vulnerable as well. So that's just one little small example of we try to be the leaders and show them how to do things, but we aren't perfect either. Thank you, everybody.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I